had seen great wars before, but none like this. This was not a conflict for land or resources, but a war of extermination. By 149 BC, the enmity between Rome and Carthage had spanned over a century. Rome was no longer willing to tolerate even the existence of its old rival. And so began the Third Punic War, a brutal 3-year siege that would end with one of the most despicable acts of destruction in ancient history. Carthage had been a shadow of its former glory for decades, bound by Rome's harsh peace treaties from earlier wars. Yet, its spirit remained unbroken. Despite its reduced power, Carthage rebuilt itself into a bustling city, rich in trade and culture. But Rome was watching, always watching. To many Romans, including the staunch Senator Cato, Carthage was a lingering threat. Cato ended every Senate speech with the ominous phrase, "Carthage must be destroyed." And in 149 BC, Rome decided to act. The spark came when Carthage, forbidden by treaty to wage war without Roman consent, defended itself against an attack from the Numidians. Rome seized this as the perfect excuse. Rome sent 80,000 troops to Africa, led by the consuls Manius Manilius and Lucius Marcius Censorinus, confident that Carthage would fall quickly. But they underestimated the resolve of its people. The Carthaginians, citizens, soldiers, and even slaves, worked night and day to reinforce their walls, forge weapons, and prepare for a desperate defense. For 2 years, the city held firm. Inside Carthage, the population suffered from starvation and disease, yet their will remained unbroken. They repelled Roman assaults again and again. Every Carthaginian took part in the defense, crafting weapons from scrap metal, reinforcing their walls with makeshift materials, and even throwing stones from rooftops onto Roman soldiers. Rome grew frustrated. The consuls failed to break the city, and the Senate turned to a man who would ensure its destruction. Scipio Aemilianus, grandson of the great Scipio Africanus, who had defeated Hannibal in the Second Punic War. Scipio arrived in Africa and immediately changed tactics. Instead of wasting troops in direct assaults, he cut off Carthage's supply lines and isolated the city completely. The Romans built a massive siege wall, sealing Carthage from the outside world. With the city's access to food and reinforcements severed, famine set in. By early 146 BC, Carthage was on the brink of collapse. When Scipio launched his final assault, the city's defenders fought with every last ounce of strength. The Roman army breached the city's defenses, storming into Carthage. But even as the walls fell, the Carthaginians did not break. Street by street, house by house, they resisted. The Romans, enraged by their defiance, burned everything in their path. For 6 days, the battle raged. The city became an inferno of blood and fire. The last Carthaginian warriors, 900 soldiers, barricaded themselves inside the Temple of Eshmun, the city's sacred sanctuary. When the Romans finally breached the temple, the defenders chose death over slavery, setting fire to the building and perishing in the flames. The war was over. For 17 days, the Roman army systematically destroyed Carthage. Thousands were slaughtered. The remaining 50,000 survivors, mostly women and children, were sold into slavery. The once mighty city was reduced to ashes. With Carthage gone, Rome annexed its lands, establishing the province of Africa. The destruction of Carthage cemented Rome's reputation as the supreme power of the Mediterranean, sending a chilling warning to any who might challenge its rule.